Welcome to the Startup Grind.
What a picture. Welcome everyone, and how was dinner? Is it cool? Awesome. It's exciting to be able to do this. I've explained to some of you, and welcome to some of you, that what this is about, but I'm going to give you a bit more of information on Startup Grind. So Startup Grind is an international organisation for startups, and it's where they educate and inspire and bring together communities of startups, and it's really awesome. It's operating in 450 cities in 120 countries and 1.5 million entrepreneurs that are associated with it. So we're on camera at the moment, so this will go onto the Startup Grind site where everyone can go in and potentially access the amazing speakers that we have coming along, and tonight is no exception. So I'm really excited to introduce Andrea, who has a phenomenal organisation, Webbing, and he's going to explain a little bit about where he started and how he actually got to where he is now, and to give you guys an insight of you can do this as well. So without any further ado, let's bring him up. Thank you very much. Firstly, thank you so much for making the time to be here. So do you live locally?
No, I live in London, actually.
Yeah.
Been living there for the past 10 years. I'm originally from Italy, as you can hear from my accent. And yeah, I traveled to Bali quite often. I started in 2011.
Yeah.
I came for the first time. I loved it. Ended up coming 2 more times the same year. And then I kept coming like twice a year since. So it's a kind of, I would say, third home.
Yeah, a third home.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
with
also
Italy
planning
and
to.
London. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also planning to move anytime soon for a while, at least like a year or so. Yeah.
It's interesting because Bali has that attraction for people who like to have those digital type businesses that you can run anywhere in the world. Why not Bali, right? It's a beautiful place to do it from.
Yeah, actually, I had the idea of starting to change my company into a remote company just when I came here, because I met some people, I experienced the lifestyle, so I kind of liked it, and I realized that I had to change the approach to life and put the lifestyle first, and then adjust my work to follow somehow.
Yeah.
And so I had this idea when I was here, I was inspired, and so when I went back home, I started trying to figure out how to actually make it work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was quite natural, because when you realize you really want to do that, then everything becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes all the obstacles that we have are all in our minds.
Yeah.
So the moment you decide is when you can go ahead.
Make that decision to move forward.
Yes.
So did you go to school in Italy? Is that where you were brought up?
I've been living in Italy for 36 years.
Yeah.
So I went to school there, studied there. I started my own company there in '97.
Yeah.
So it was a small web agency in Rome, where I'm from. And at that time, '97, internet, Italy was quite new.
Yeah.
It was a new thing.
Yeah.
I discovered the internet in '94 for other purposes. I was doing research for other topics. But I was really fascinated by the potential.
Yeah.
So in '97, I heard about like web agencies and people starting to work online. And so I decided to try that. I was a graphic designer at that time. So I decided to move from, print to online. And with a couple of friends, we started this very small company. And then we grew a lot. And in '99, I received this email from a big Swedish company that was publicly traded. And they were basically doing the same thing, but at a different scale. Yeah. And they said they wanted to open an office in Rome, so they came and they they met us, and we tried to make things work together and see if we could become part of that.
Yep.
Then it didn't happen at the time, thank God, because that company started to go a bit bad, let's say, because there was like, you know, the bubble in 2000, and it wasn't that nice for many of those companies, basically exploding. So it was all valued in potential. I remember crazy valuations of like 10x, 15x of the turnover. So they were really incredible numbers. Yeah. And so I decided to grow it myself. So I raised some money, and we made it bigger. And then after a few years, so we started doing more complex projects like web development, big e-commerce websites, and then we decided to move into digital marketing. So from like builders, we wanted to be marketers. Yeah. And that happened when I started using social media. At that time, the very first social network that I used was called A Small World. Which still exists, but I guess not many people use it anymore. But I liked the concept of being in a like community, online community, and get to know people, get to know each other, getting help on different aspects of life, from entertainment to work. Yeah. And so I was really fascinated, and I thought that those were going to be like the digital marketing platforms of the next years. And so we, when also Facebook arrived, basically we started creating Facebook apps to run digital marketing campaigns. For example, price contests, and we didn't do any ads at that moment. I don't even remember if in the very first versions of Facebook ads were there. Yeah. But since we were the only ones at the moment, at least in Italy, doing these kind of projects, we got a lot of visibility. So we got a lot of clients just through Google search. That was amazing. Big brands that we started working with, like Clinique or Tommy Hilfiger and others. Yeah. And they were giving us this kind of digital campaigns on social media, so Facebook and then Twitter, and then all the others, and then I decided to move to London. Yeah. So when I moved to London, I basically continued that kind of work, but I also started getting some international clients. So we went from like domestic market to more international clients. Yeah. And that's been the challenge for the past 10 years now. So now I'm at a stage where I'm trying to become even more location independent. So trying to do a lot of workshops, online workshops and master classes. So that's my main focus at the moment. So after getting all these experiences with either both big and small clients, small companies, I said, okay, let's try to, put all this information together and run workshops, both offline and online. So I recently launched an academy, which is the sister brand of Webbing. Yeah. And I started promoting it by doing a lot of talks and workshops in different countries. So I went from doing the very first in Milan, then we expanded to other cities in Italy, and then I started doing them in London, Prague, in Barcelona, in New York, and in Bali, and other places. And this is briefly what I've been doing in my past 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing. It's so taking you back to when you first started, was it challenging for you to get that first client?
Yes.
It was?
Yes. I remember when we started, we were targeting very small clients, really small, and we hired some salespeople who were basically doing a really ugly job, just cold calls and trying to get new clients. After that, I knew that if we wanted to become like one of the first agencies, we had to do something else and get bigger clients. So the problem when you don't have any big client is like, okay, how am I going to convince the first one
big client.
to give me some work? And I had this idea that turned out to be right. So I hired someone who was working in a big company and a company that I wanted to work with. And so we hired her and as a marketing director. And so basically we got our first big client.
Through her marketing to the company that she was working for before.
Exactly,
Very clever.
That was, we were a bit lucky with that. It was a small project, but, it was, we could finally put a big brand on our case histories. And then, you take one, then you take another, and it was not really easy, but let me say a bit easier. Then I've done it again once, and we sold a very small part of the company to an entrepreneur who wanted to invest in something digital, and but since he was a ex-manager of several big companies, basically he could use his relationships to introduce us to some of these companies, and that's when we started getting more clients and even more important jobs. So that's basically that's been the growth hack for me, the very first one.
Well, that's great. So you started off in such a way that you found that it was a little bit challenging to kick it off. And this is where a lot of startups are. It's like some people that are startups want to go too quick. They're trying to get out there and be something that they're not ready for yet because they haven't even got their first client. And then others start a little bit too small. So thinking about how you did it was really clever, because to go and employ someone who was in a company that you wanted to be part of anyway was great. And then that level of partnership that you created where someone has got connections would have made it a lot easier for you.
I think for an agency, connections are really important. Because when you work in B2B, you're not targeting as many clients as if you're launching like a startup and you have an app that you want to distribute on the market. So relationships play a very important role. And I think they're really strategic even for startups, because you need to put your name out. And when you build relationships, it's a lot easier. When you join events, when you speak with people, it's very different. I was talking with Harsh, my friend here, and we just went to the DMSS conference here in Siemeniac a few days ago, and it's the connections you can make are really powerful, because maybe it's people that you already know online because you exchange ideas or you're in the same Facebook group or whatever, but once you get to know them and just even talk about anything else, just go out for dinner together, spend some time, you build something which is way more important than that, and then you can open doors. It's a lot easier.
So building that community and doing it the right way is helps the growth, because I'm sure that over the time there's looking at where you're at now, there's probably some things that if it had flowed differently, it would have made it a lot easier for you. But you had to learn the way that you have, and you're where you're at for that reason. And I guess, the idea is to support people so that whatever you've had to experience, if there's an easier way, that they can actually find an easier way now, by connecting to the right people and, getting into, like we say here, it's like getting into the flow of others who already have those connections, instead of trying to go out and dig a hole in the desert and trying to get water to come when that's the hardest way to do it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
I think in every work, I mean, even if you open a small cafe,
Yeah.
you can't just wait people to come in.
Yeah.
You need to find an audience even maybe before you you build it.
Yeah, I mean, and from your perspective, obviously you were, or you are, but you were even back then, solving a problem that people identified with, and you were going in and solving that problem. So was that challenging to be able to do that? Because, I mean, that's the thing with business. It's like, unless it's something luxury that people really, really love and they will get regardless, because it is a luxury item, business is about solving people's problems and, you know, you coming up with a solution better than someone else is. Was that challenging for you to do that, or had you done enough research to understand how you could support your potential clients?
I always try to position the agency in a very small niche instead of trying to compete with many other agencies. So, for example, we never had like the vision or the goal to become like a super big agency.
Yeah.
We just wanted to do what we love, and also, but for companies that have potential. And in that way, I think it can be somehow easier if you just try to do like fewer things but really well, or where nobody at the moment is.
Yeah.
So it's easier for us. Was social media. So starting to create apps to do like to run lead generation campaigns, for example, that was really good because no one was doing it.
Yeah.
And since we had a technological background because we were building websites, so for us it was pretty easy to just create these very small apps, connect and integrate them like with the Facebook APIs, for example.
Yeah.
So it was really easy, and so it was quite natural to go in that direction.
Yeah.
We didn't actually really plan it. I mean, we didn't have this vision, and we said, "Oh, nobody's doing that, so we should."
Yeah.
We started, by interest. Oh, what's this? This is new, and then we did something with the first client, and then other ideas, other clients, and so we were there. We were doing that, even without realizing it.
Yeah, and that's usually the way, right? Is that the clients will tell you what it is that you need to do in order to support them. It's like we can come up with an idea ourselves and think that's great, we can make a difference. But as soon as you start working with people, you actually get the direction your company needs to take.
Yes.
So, and you found a gap. You found some gaps that you thought other people weren't satisfying, and that was the uniqueness that you brought into it, which then differentiates you back then from where you were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because up until then, we were just another of the many agencies doing the same things, doing websites, web design or web development, SEO, whatever, but there were thousands of other agencies doing that.
Yeah, so you needed to be different and know that there was a specific market out there that really needed what you were differentiating yourself with.
Yes.
Yeah. So along that journey, what were some of the challenges that you came across? I mean, were you always researching into what's coming next, so you were ahead of the game and, keeping up with it, or what are some of the challenges that you've experienced?
The main challenges have always been managing people. So that's one of the challenges, because especially for one who, like me, who didn't have any management skill, because that was pretty natural. I was doing graphic design and then web design and then a little agency and then a bigger one, but I had no management skills. Yeah. And so trying to figure out the best way to hire people, for example, that was also a big issue for us, because it was really difficult to recruit like technical people or people with strong motivation, and also because there weren't a lot of people didn't actually have that skills, because the skills weren't requested before. So it was quite hard. So we with my business partner at that time, we created this recruitment process, even if we were quite small. But we said, okay, we need to do things right. So let's plan how to recruit people, because if we just do an interview and then I think he's right, I think this is good, I think this is not. I mean, it's all based on your personal feelings, which are important, but they're not the only thing. Yeah. And so we created this easy process where we were actually putting people in front of computers and just taking tests. So having at some point like the evidence of what they could really do in terms of technical skills, and also doing like collective sessions with all the candidates, and just to see how they were interacting each other. So to see like, okay, what if we don't like how they behave in a group? So that has been one of the challenges. And of course, the other challenge is always finding clients. That's a big challenge for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So from the people side of it, that you were looking to recruit yourself, did you have like a company culture and company values and things like that you felt that you could use to attract the right people? Was that part of your recruitment process?
Yes. We invested in a nice office. We tried to promote like developing relationships between people, and like joining events together, trying to do stuff together. For example, we used to have lunch all together in the office once a week, where it was like every Friday I used to cook, because I like to cook, and so every Friday I was cooking something for everybody, just to create a nice atmosphere, because anyway at that time we were competing with also with other companies, not in terms of skills but in terms of appeal. So when you have like a big multinationals coming to your city with their fancy offices and packages, and you can't compete with that because you don't have the money and such a brand authority. You need to find something else. So we found this kind of creating, promoting like friendship between people. Yeah,
awesome. So are all your team based in London, or where are they located?
No,
now?
the team is spread across different cities. Okay. So we basically decentralized the team when we decided in 2008 to become 100% location independent. Yeah. So we kept part of the team at the beginning, and then some of these people decided to leave because they were looking for a place to work. Yeah. So they didn't like the idea of being remote, even if we gave them the opportunity to work in co-working spaces. Or from anywhere, as long as they were able to, produce what they were supposed to. Yeah. But now it's different, because there are a lot of young people who want to be digital nomads or just work remotely. Yeah. At that time, it wasn't like that. So most of the people wanted to go to a fancy office and just stay with their colleagues, and because they were all very young, so all below like the 30 years old. So it was more, no, I don't want to stay on my own. I want to stay with other people like me. Yeah. And so naturally, some of them we lost some of them, and we got new ones that were more compatible, could fit better with the idea of the structure that we wanted to give the company. So now we only work with freelancers. So the company has 0 employee, and cool. Basically these freelancers work for us continuously, and also because there are now in most projects you need really different skills. So you cannot have like a web developer who only knows like 1 or 2 platforms.
Yeah.
Now you need like a CRO, you need an SEO, you need a social media specialist, now you need a lot of people who produce content. So you should have a huge team that is not all the time allocated to a project. So that would be insane in terms of financials.
Yeah, employing them and having to pay them a wage. Yeah.
And also because there are a lot of great professionals who want to live like that. They want to be remote. They want to be on their own. They will never work for a company.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, as employees,
Yeah.
they value and they love their independence a lot more than it was in the past.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing about when you are thinking along those lines yourself, you tend to attract people anyway that want to be like that. You know, if you're someone that's based in an office or have got a set location, then it's, you know, you will more be inclined to attract people who want to work in that environment. As soon as you change...
And also local people.
Yeah, totally.
So why should I hire someone in Milan if there's a better one in London or in Bali?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
so it's so competitive now that you really need to find the right person for the right project.
Yeah.
And you can just say, okay, I'm going to hire these people in this city because my office is there. They have to go there and use a desk. It's a bit of an old concept. I believe. And also.
So, are these people that the freelancers and that pitching for work with you, or do you already have your
No,
database?
we have a network now, and when we need someone that we don't have, we tend to ask our, let me say, colleagues, people who work in the same industry.
Yeah.
So now that I've been doing this for many years, I have many connections. So if I need to hire someone to, I don't know, write content, I ask someone that I know works with good people who write good content. And the first thing I do is ask him.
Yeah.
I usually don't recruit like with posting job opportunities, whatever. I never need to do that. So usually using a network of people I find it very easy.
Yeah.
But that's because I wanted to build a network. So if you have a network, I think it's easy to do a lot of different things in every kind of environment, in everything you do. Even if you need, a better doctor because you're feeling bad and you know someone who's the head of that hospital and can introduce you to the specialist. It's pretty much common in everything, you know.
Yeah, is connecting with the right people and having that right community, which is a pretty common way for most people to move forward now in business and in life as well.
Yes.
So back when you first started out, did you ever envision you'd be where you're at right now?
Absolutely not.
No. What was your plan? So were you just hoping to get a level of success with your business, or didn't you in those early days set a goal and then achieve that and set another one, or how did that actually work for you?
To be honest, I don't set many goals. I'm a kind of person who loves to procrastinate things. So I really challenge myself not to do that.
Yeah.
But usually I set goals that are both, most of the time are very personal. So when I see that there is a situation where I feel uncomfortable, I decide to go exactly that way.
Yeah.
Because I want to see why that is uncomfortable for me, and I want to challenge myself.
Yeah.
So I tend to follow my instinct very much, and I try, to go out of the comfort zone and just try to, measure myself in other situations where I can better realize afterwards why I was doing that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because I want to be, I want to build a bigger network. So I decide to go and do a lot of public speaking, which is something that I hated 6 years ago. I was scared to death when I had to speak in a situation like this. And then just because I felt that, I said, okay, maybe I have to do that. And so, but the payout was, okay, now I have a really large network of people, and that helps business and also, let me say, personal life, because you also make new friends, and you know, it opened doors.
Yeah.
When 2 years ago I came to Bali, and up until then I only came for holiday, so I could still work on my laptop, but I wasn't really doing any networking.
Yeah.
Then 2 years ago I started thinking about maybe I should spend some more time in Bali, so maybe move there for a year. So I need to get in touch with local people. And so I thought, okay, what's the best way to do that? Is to, you know, reach out to maybe co-working spaces. So there are a lot of people like me that work there. Yeah. So I wrote to Hubboot and Dojo. Yep. And I said, I'm coming to Bali. If you want, I can do a free talk on growth hacking, which is something that I was focusing on a lot a couple of years ago. And they said, yes, we would love to. Okay, so I went there and I met some people and also the organizer of DMSS, which is this conference that has been just finished for the second year in a row. And that has been really nice because I met so many people. I became friend with Brie, the founder. I also got a few clients through him. He got some through me. So it was, it's been really useful. We built a relationship. We became friends. And now it's easy for me to, settle immediately if I come and live here because I know.
You know people.
Yeah, I have a small network here too. So it's easy for everything.
It's interesting that you mentioned Dojo because Michael, that started up Dojo, right? His whole thing was to create a space that worked for him, and from that a community created. So, you know, start with what works for you and then bring that, the community automatically gets attracted to it because you're sort of solving your own problem at the same time, and it was just almost became organic, the way that it operated. And obviously Dojo is a really great place to be part of. And
yes, and they promote that very much. I think they run one event every day, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because every day you can go after 6 o'clock, I guess, and there's an event. Most of them are really interesting, and there are many actionable workshops. So it's it's absolutely true.
So being in, and obviously we've got a co-working space here. We've got one in Sonora as well. That runs events. So that's a good recommendation for people who want to break into a new community, is to get in with those and offer yourself to, you know, I'd love to come and do a talk and give value. Just
offer something, get to know the people, and you know, it's like okay, if I want to meet 20 new people, I can either start talking with one who introduces me with another, or you can just try to, you know, do it all at once quickly. And it's easier, I guess.
Well, it's very leveraged to stand up in front of a group of people and suddenly you've got all these connections that are available to you. And like you said, you know, the fear of getting up and speaking previously was challenging for you, but now you know the value of doing that because it's leverage, right? So breaking out of that comfort zone was really important for you to do that.
I think it's important, yes, in every kind of environment, both for personal life or professional life.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing to do.
Yeah, perfect. All right, we are going to start to open up to questions. I hope you guys have got questions. I've still got a couple more, but I want to leave some for you. So if we can get the microphone over here to Davo. So just say your name and where you're from, what you do. Thanks, Davo.
Oh, hi. My name is Debo. I'm from London.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm not too greedy, I have 3 questions. The first really is, why Startup Grind? Why did you choose that name? So that's the first one. The second one is, Just
Why Startup Grind?
Startup Grind is
Okay.
this, not his name. This is the...
No, that's what I'm saying. It's the company's name.
No, it's not Startup Grind, but you'll
No,
respond to that.
Oh,
Yeah.
got confused. Okay, sorry. Forgive me on that point. Oh, second point then, for startup companies then, what can you do in terms of IT, apps, technology you can do to help startups? So what does your company do? I know you have loads of networkers all over the world. And in terms of somebody like me, for example, based in London, I have something to do. I have some hubs to be developed, or
Yeah.
you know. So, what can you do, and how do you go about doing that?
Okay.
So the final one is on GDPR, which you, as you're based in London, sorry. So because you have workers all over the world, how do you ensure that that is then EU compliant in terms of the data, confidentiality, and everything else?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you should answer the first one on Startup Grind.
Well, I guess the question then should be why Webby? Why?
Yeah.
Where did that name come from?
It came from web. That was, you know, the
Web.
word
Yeah.
of the moment. And we just added ing, so it's like doing the web, doing something web related. And so we came up with this idea. And it was a short name. We liked it. The domain name wasn't available at that time. So I remember I contacted the owner of the domain, who was based in the US, and I begged him to give it to me, to sell it. And he said, well, I'm not actually using it, so I will give it to you in exchange for like a few bottles of wine, since you're Italian, if you want to send some. I said, okay, pretty fine. So that happened. Second question about startups and how I can help. I'm part of an Italian association in London, which is the biggest one for Italians working with startups. We're 1,700 people. And we have an acceleration program, and I'm one of the mentors for them. And what I usually do, I meet with startups, both in person or via Skype. And they just, they usually ask me questions. They present the idea, the pitch, and what they've been doing. And I give them some advice in terms of how to get some initial traction, for example, or how they can use social media to do something, to get visibility, to get leads. And I sometimes also evaluate their products. And what I usually find is that most of them are really focusing on details, which is like the most common problem, in my opinion, because you focus just on details while you should start things, get things going somehow. And the second one is that it's really easy to be stuck in the trap of the setup. I call it like that. So we actually enjoy to set up things because we are creative people, because we want to launch the company, and so we are very interested in setting things up, developing the product, focusing on details, and we never get out of that phase of the startup, you know? While that's because we are maybe sometimes too passionate about the idea, but we're not really entrepreneurs thinking about, okay, how I'm going to make this work because I want to make it like a unicorn one day.
Yeah.
So it's more because I like the idea. I had this idea, and then I started evaluating it. Then I convinced a friend, and then another, and then we start building it. And they end up doing that over and over, and they never exit that. I met recently with a startup. They also created like a small flyer which explained the app. And I said, why did you do that? I mean, if that, first of all, in my opinion, that should be self-explanatory. If you have a flyer that explains why and what the app does, there's a problem.
Yeah.
How are you going to convince people to download the app first? And second, they were really focusing on details. So the app was beautiful, honestly. It has even way too many features. And I think it's all part of this kind of wanting to do a proper setup, enjoying the setup. And it's like when you, I don't know, you want to run a new restaurant, so you love, the project, how I'm going to decorate it, and why you should think, okay, now this has to be ready in 7 days, and then I have to open because any clients coming in. The third one about GDPR, I can say that it's not my problem. No, I mean, usually we work for clients, and so they have to deal with the GDPR. What we do is just make sure that what we do is compliant, but that's their responsibility. We always advise them on what to do and what not to do. Sometimes we even received huge mailing lists of people that I don't know where they were coming from, just to create use it to make a custom audience on Facebook so we can retarget these people. It's something companies have to focus on and make sure that what they do is legal.
Okay, that's exactly what I meant.
Okay.
The last part. Whereby, what do you then do to make sure that data from your client doesn't sort of,
I just
it's not
make it clear
misused.
that I'm just doing what they're saying, what they're telling me to do, and that they have the data they're giving me are legit, or they can use them. Then I'll do it. It's what every website does when you want to upload personal data now. They say, okay, are you sure you can use this? But they gave you the consent. Yes. Okay, then upload it. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay. Me? We've got quite a few from the UK in the room.
Hi, I'm me from the UK as well. I was based in London. I just moved to Manchester 6 months ago.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry.
so it's actually okay. So I have 2 questions as well, if you don't mind. The first question you mentioned, you turned the company to a 0-employee company, which I think is great, because I totally understand different projects have different needs. But how can you make different people work together for different projects? Because for me, managing people, working together more and more makes it become easier and easier. And otherwise, it's like herding cats, in my experience. My second question is that I work in properties, and the most social media people in properties normally do is posting some nice pictures of their rooms on Facebook. And that is not what I want to do, because with some experience in already buy-to-let, I want to go into co-living. And I think this is why right now I'm in iLab, because I want to understand how to build brands and how to do media. And I am not passionate about branding at all. Of course, now I need to work with companies like yours. Do you have any advice on how to work with social media companies to get the most out of it?
Okay. So first question that I just forgot.
How to work with freelancers?
Well, it's easy when you always use the same people. So if they're always the same freelancers, it's a lot easier. What I usually do, I have one project leader, which is one of them. So all the others need to work with this person, which is my main interface. So I try to, it's like having a project leader which is not part of your own company, which is also a freelance, but he's the leader of the project.
How do you hold him accountable when your brand is the one that's facing client?
They're accountable because I only want to work with people who are accountable for what they do in everything. That's the only way to...
So selecting the right person.
Yes,
in the first place.
I personally really hate people who don't want to be accountable. I think that everything you do, in everything you do, you're accountable for what you're doing, even if it's a very small fraction of a big project, but you need to be accountable in every situation. That's, for me, it's like the most important thing. And how to work with social media agencies. That's a good question, because social media marketing now is a lot of things. So I don't personally believe in social media marketing companies doing everything, because there are so many different channels that you really need to pick like specific people for specific channels. So for example, you need to manage, I don't know, Facebook page. Okay, you need Facebook page, so you need Facebook ads, because a Facebook page without Facebook ads isn't worth it.
Sorry, what's cats?
Facebook ads.
Ads. Oh,
Ads.
Ads.
Sorry.
This is how how little knowledge I have in the industry. Sorry.
So, for example, I need Facebook, because I think Facebook is the best one. Then I will hire someone who is really great at Facebook ads. And if I need to create a YouTube channel, I would use someone who is very good at that. I won't hire a social media marketing agency, to be honest, especially if you're a small firm. But what happens is that usually now big companies hire social media agencies just to post their content on social media and focus on the communication level of we should say social media communication instead of marketing, even if people tend to use that word. But to me, marketing means, okay, I can show you, I can prove you the value in terms of revenue that I brought you. That's social media marketing. If I am focusing on, okay, I want to hire a social media agency because they have to manage my Facebook page, that's monitoring vanity metrics. So there you focus on like reactions, comments, or whatever it is, things that you can really put into your financials. So I would go for for specialists instead of agencies.
I understand. So the specialists will focus on one particular type of channel that they're very good at.
Yes.
Then,
yes. If you need to understand which channel may work for you, I would hire someone who is like a consultant with experience, who can tell you, okay, what do you do? These are the channels you should use. So he can create a strategy, and then you can decide whether he can also execute it, or you can find someone to execute it.
okay, so the person that creates the social media strategy might be different to the person that executes it.
Yes, it might be. For example, sometimes we do strategies and we don't do the execution, because if I understand that for a client it's important that they they create a blog, for example, because they need organic traffic or they need to do branding, I try to hire or recommend someone who is an expert at that. And I prefer to do that using my network instead of trying to be the one who does everything, because I want to focus on strategy. And then if there is something that is our core and we can also offer execution, yes, I'm the first one to say, okay, I can give you the strategy and also execute it.
How do you find the right strategist?
The right strategist? Yeah, I think you can look for, there are many channels now. You can go on Facebook groups, for example, and see people who post more often. You can ask to someone you know in the industry. You can see who speaks at events, for example. So you can make an idea. There are many promoting themselves with YouTube videos, for example. So there are many ways, and I think it's. I think when you find the right one, you feel like you found the right one. When you find the one who's just one good at speaking but not at doing things, you got the feeling.
Thank you. That was really helpful.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa. I'm from Indonesia.
Oh, finally.
Maybe the only one in the audience. I came to your talk at the MSS. It was great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's like the main reason why I'm here. So I want to learn more from you. I only have one question because the other one was similar to the previous participant. So I just want to know, it seems like, are you the one who's handling the sales? Like who's the one who's looking for the sales? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, aren't you planning to hire someone to, so that you can be completely free from your company, like you're pulling yourself out from the company, maybe?
Well, I have to say, sales are like a consequence of the of having a network and being and giving the company a vision. What I'm focusing on at the moment is mostly trying to create automated system, so focusing on products like the online courses, which is my main focus now, because I want to be even more independent. So basically, I want to do less client work and create more products that eventually are sold through automation.
Okay.
So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, okay. Completely. So okay,
Thank
that's
you.
all. Thank you.
I actually love that. Sales are a consequence of your network. That's awesome.
I think it's you sell when you're not selling. I mean,
Yeah, they're buying because your network's the right network, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm Kevin from England,
I did say there's quite a few in the room.
from Birmingham. So I'm a freelance consultant, and I'm a rookie digital nomad. In fact, this is why I'm here. My customers like me. They like having me, feeling me, not in that way, touching me, and they feel reassured by having me there. So have you met any resistance from moving from a location-based service to a sort of a digital nomadic kind of lifestyle?
Yes. I lost many clients, but I got new ones because I realized I was terrified in the beginning because I thought, oh my God, now I'm going to lose all my clients. Because especially in Italy, people really want to, let's meet, let's talk about this, when you can just send an email, or just make a quick phone call. So, but that was why I didn't want to do that anymore, because I didn't want to feel like, oh my God, I had to turn my phone on. I'm scared because I will have like missed calls or whatever, and also because in the first 2 years when I moved to London, I remember that when my clients called me, I just pretended I was in Italy, because I didn't want them to know that I wasn't there, because I was scared of losing them. But then I realized right here in Bali that I couldn't go on like that, because I had to turn this issue into like something good. So I said, okay, no, I want to just let them know that I have this lifestyle, because I'm sure that there are a lot of them that would love to have this lifestyle, but they're trapped like at a desk. So, and that happened, luckily. So they were always saying, okay, where are you today? You're in, because they knew that every time I was traveling somewhere. And so, yeah, I think if you're in that situation where you have these kind of clients, they're not right for you. So it's natural that maybe they will be replaced by better ones, or at least someone who don't focus on like wasting time just to meet you when there is no need. Then that said, I love to meet my clients because I love to build relationships. But that means that maybe we can just go out for a coffee or a drink and not to talk about something that we can really talk over an email.
Sure. No, thanks for that. I think internally, I feel the same in terms of it's an internal thing that you think your clients actually want you there, but actually they don't necessarily need you there because they are happy for you to be like coming here. My clients, I thought, would be scared losing me for 2.5 weeks. In reality, go off and do it. And as long as we don't have any problems, then you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's your life. So it's like I either complain all the time because I didn't have like I didn't want to really take the risk to lose them, or I just say, okay, this is my life. It's more important than, okay, I lose a client, I will find another one.
Sure. Thank you.
Good luck.
Awesome.
Thank you, Andrew, for sharing your
Thank you.
journey. It was really comforting to hear about your struggles as you grew up in your startup. I'm Archana. I come from Doha, out of the UK crowd here.
Okay.
I have two questions. You said you are a zero employee-based company. So how do you manage your systems and processes? Is it all automated, or do you outsource certain elements in terms of your admin tasks, your payroll, or whatever it is?
No, usually I oversee all the projects. I don't work with many clients at once. So, and my projects are often small in terms of length of time. I have some retainers, but it's easier when you have some retainers because you can have like one project leader who manages the client and the other people like producing content or posting or running Facebook ads and whatever. And I also do part of the work. I usually try myself everything before I propose something. I really want to know what it is about. So even when someone tells me, okay, we should get this platform. Okay, you want to get that platform? For example, SEMrush for SEO. I say, okay, I don't do SEO, but I think I kind of have the experience to understand if that is right or not. So I use it just to have a feeling, and then I influence people and say, okay, I think this is the right one, or this is not the right one. And so I try to, I don't have many things automated. So it's just a matter of having someone who's the leader of what you're doing and just trust him.
So the team that the leader has is recruited by you, or he chooses the team to do the specific tasks? Like you said, you have a project leader, and then you have subtasks that is also under the project leader. So you have chosen the people for the subtask?
Yes, together with the project leader.
Okay.
And usually, since even if there are freelancers, I like to have long relationships with people, so they know each other, they know who does what, and so I discuss most of the strategy with the leader, and then the leader coordinates all the tasks.
And when do you think is the right time for startups like us who are just beginning to venture into social media? Because these days everything
Straight
is
away.
into...
The sooner the better, because anyway, social media in some ways can still be used organically, so without spending ads on ads. Not all, like Facebook. Facebook is, unless you use like Facebook groups, it's quite a waste of time. It can be useful if you want to build your personal brand. LinkedIn is great to create a professional network. Instagram is great if you have a visual product. So I think it's important because those channels are just amplifiers of your products and your brand, and they're free basically. So it's important that you use it. Everybody is using them. They're great to create brand awareness. You might eventually go viral for something. It's just that it requires time, and it might require some money because you need to create content. Basically, imagine just social media as amplifiers. So you produce content to reach people, and you use this social media to just amplify this content as much as possible with the budget you have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nancy. I'm originally from China, but I live in London as well. so
I didn't invite them before that.
I didn't know either. So, my question is, so right now, obviously, your company already over 10 years. So based on the which research, they said the company which can last for over 10 years, it's, also your company obviously profitable as well, right?
Yeah.
So you'd be like a 0.4% of all the companies, which is already good enough. I would say, do you really, for example, right now, do you still have a pressure with your company's future and your plan and for
Yes.
profitable for next 10 years or 20 years?
Yes, I had it when around 2000, 2001, I decided to raise some funds.
Yeah.
And so I had to open the company to new partners,
Yeah.
business partners. They were all angel investors. And then, yes, they put some pressure.
Yeah.
And so I just bought the company again from them at some point.
Okay.
Because basically I realized that money is not always the same. It depends where it comes from.
Okay.
And they were putting way too much pressure into me because after the bubble,
Yeah.
there was, the bubble wasn't that beautiful anymore.
Yeah.
And so it was getting more hard. So they joined because they had this vision.
Yeah.
Okay, I invest 1 and I get 5.
Yeah.
Because that what was happening. So that didn't happen for us.
Okay.
And so I decided to just buy all the shares again.
You bought back?
Yes.
Okay,
I
so you
took a
didn't really
loan.
rely on them?
Yes,
Okay.
pay them out and free again to go ahead. Yes.
So based on that, so obviously your company is your own company, right?
Yes.
So you have shareholders with other?
No, not now.
No, you don't. Okay. So based on, if I'm talking about, you look after your family as well.
Yes.
So what do you think about your company? For example, right now they generate, cash flow.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the cash flow compared with the passive income? So, obviously, you have your own company, but company anytime, could have some kind of crisis. So
Yeah.
do you prepare like a one income stream, or do you have any other backup, or just because you only have one company? Or sorry, it's a bit private, but I just thought to ask about entrepreneur spirit kind of people like you.
I am my
So-
only backup.
You
That's
what?
my spirit. I'm my only backup.
Oh, you are the only backup.
Yes.
Okay, so you mean you are the only one?
I mean, I am my only backup in a way is to say what I have or what I don't have depends only on me. So I know
Okay.
I can count on myself. I
Okay.
know that I put away something, I invested in a house, I do something, but I know I can always trust me. And, of course, crises always happen.
Yeah.
But it's how you deal with them. There isn't I don't know how to say, a different reply I can give you.
Okay.
Because it's like, how do you deal with your crisis? How do you, what do you do if suddenly all your customers leave and you have nothing? I have to say, I created a very flexible company where I don't have any fixed costs because I don't have employees.
Okay.
And so it's a lot easier to manage. But then I know that I can only count on myself. So basically, if I need something or if I need to find new clients, I would probably rely to my network of people and just try to get new ones. And that's it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So one last question from me before we finish up.
Where are you from? I didn't ask.
I'm from Australia.
Okay.
I'm not from the UK.
But I moved from London.
I have a daughter in London. So with the future of where things are heading, how much in touch with that are you at the moment, based on like where you see the company is now as to where it may be in 5 years' time? You know, are you looking as a futurist and then following trends, or how's that working for you now?
I'm always interested in trends. There are many trends now, a lot of new things, new technology, new platforms, blockchain or distributed companies, and there's a bit of everything. What I realized is that my personal goal is to be always less dependent from clients. So I had one of my goals was to be like anonymous. That was the goal. So I want to be like, I don't want my phone to ring anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want my clients calling me.
Yeah.
Hope they won't see this. But basically, I mean, in terms of, now I'm trying to adjust it. Not for work, for other things.
Yeah.
But basically, I want to be able to create a few products that I can basically sell. So I want to turn the agency more into a product company. And because I'm basically, I want to invest more time on something that only depends from me and not from like other people, which are the clients. So I think having an agency is very helpful because it challenges you with different industries and different people and different levels within the companies. But I also think you can do it forever because at some point you want to do something for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what that's where I'm
you're
headed
at.
now.
That's where you're heading, yeah. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Obviously,
Thank you very
everyone's
much.
got value, so thank you. Are you sticking around for a little bit, or
Yes, I think
if anyone wants to have a brief little chat without taking too much of your time? Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.